Hello guys, this is Tax third vlog, and the name of this book is Political Science, and the topic we are going to discuss about is Rose compared with Hobbes and Locke. So let's start. As he came after the other two, Rose had one advantage. He was influenced by and could learn much from the Hobbes and Locke, he had said. In fact, he began with the arguments of Locke and ended with the conclusion of Hobbes. For instance, like Locke, Rose described the state of nature as an idealic condition of peace, freedom, and equality. But here the resemblance and the difference begin between them. In Locke, the state of nature ends because the inconvenience of the certain laws and the absence of impartial judges and common authority, but Rose's states of nature end for more or less the same reasons as that Hobbes, namely due to the war of all against all. Here again, there is difference. Hobbes' state of nature is a state of perpetual war from the very beginning because the aggressive and selfish nature of man. Rose's state of nature, however, degenerates into a condition of war due to the growth of population, the origin of private property, and draw of reason and civilization. Historically speaking, this explanation is more correct than the Hobbes. In the second place, like Locke, Rose based his social contract on human desire for freedom. Both sub, substituted natural freedom for civil freedom. Like Hobbes, Rose believed that there are only one contract, the social contract, which created both the society and the state. Both asserted that men surrounded all their natural rights to and power to the sovereign, while Loki believed that they surrounded some rights in order to protect the rest. As a result of this difference, Hobbes and Rose make a sovereign absolute, but Locke limits his authority to a few powers surrounded to him. Rose and Hobbes also differ from each other. Rose establishes the sovereign power in the community as a whole, while Hobbes give it to the monarch. To use our modern terminology, rights proof Gilchrist, just as Hobbes' theory support absolutism, I think absolutism, and Locke's uphold constitutional government. Rose theory support their popular sovereignty. Rose's popular sovereign exercise as much as absolute, unlimited, inalienable, and invisible power as does the single or several rulers of Hobbes. Yet, Rose's theory of sovereignty is based on the consent of the individual, just as Locke's theory is. That is why it is said that Rose's voice is the voice of Locke, but the hand of these of Hobbes. He borrowed from Hobbes the theory of absolute sovereignty, and from Locke the conception of individual consent, and combined the two into his theory of popular sovereignty. So Rose's state is a Hobbes Leviathan. Munas is head, crowded head, crowned head. Rose had learned from Loki, and men are born free, equal, and independent, but he did not believe, like Loki, that people's sovereign power is held to in reserve to be exercised when the government or ruler fail to protect the people's right to life, liberty, and property. Rose held that the people exercise sovereignty continually and constantly. Unlike Hobbes, both Locke and Rose distinguished the state from the government. Both Rose told that the government has only executive function, while the legislative functions belong to the assembly of the whole people, the sovereign community. That was the reason why Rose did not distinguish the three organs of the government: the legislative, executive, and judicial. Whereas Locke was the first writer to give a theory of separation of power. So this is the difference between the theory of Locke, Rose, and Hobbes. So we already talked about it. Thank you, mates in Netflix. This is the second name of the second topic we are going to discuss about is criticism of the social contract theory. So meet in next vlog.